What's going on, YouTube fam? It's your boy, the beautiful black man, the honorable Brimezus, back in here with another YouTube video on why Muhammad Ali is the greatest boxer of all time. Before I get into that video, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to comment below, guys, what you guys think about who is the greatest boxer of all time and why is it Muhammad Ali. Don't forget to cop some King Kamara Brimezus t-shirts off my websites. The link will be in the description box below. And most importantly, guys, please subscribe to my YouTube channel so I can continue to give you guys more content on a regular basis. So without further ado, let's get on the video. Ladies and gentlemen, especially people who have been watching my YouTube channel for quite some time, you may know that I believe that Floyd Mayweather Jr. is the greatest boxer of all time in regards to skill, or at least the best boxer of all time in terms of skill. So to me, guys, there's definitely a difference between like the best and the greatest. This can sometimes mean the same thing. In boxing, it's not. You know, boxing, you know, the sport, it evolves, you know, metrics change over time, even sometimes rule sets change over time. And how you can like categorize who is the greatest or the best will change over time. That being said, as far as impact on the sport and impact in and out, as far as impact in and outside of the ring, that's how it has to go to Muhammad Ali more so than Floyd Mayweather and even any other like athlete, whether it's MJ or Tiger Woods or Tom Brady or whoever. Nobody has like done more for like sports or individual sports or had an impact the way Muhammad Ali did. Before I go into like different reasons why it made Muhammad Ali like great, let's just start with just his boxing. Muhammad Ali was a heavyweight and a very young heavyweight when he first started getting his notoriety. He was still known as Cassius Clay and first joined the Nation of Islam. He had a very unique and esoteric style, even by today's standards, but it was so mind-blowing to see a heavyweight move the way Muhammad Ali did. I mean, it's still bizarre now. Like, for example, you may see like a fighter like Tyson Fury move someone like Muhammad Ali oftentimes. It's bizarre because he's so fat and tall. But especially back then, watching Muhammad Ali perform was like more bizarre. Watching Muhammad Ali perform, dance the way he did, being that fast as a heavyweight back then in the 1960s and even 1970s was more bizarre than watching like Vasil Lomachenko, Prince Nassim Hamed, and Roy Jones combined. Like more bizarre than that. Like that's just how it was. Like somebody said it best. It was like watching Muhammad Ali fights, kind of like watching an action movie and then complaining about how unrealistic the fighting scenes are. Because Muhammad Ali, he didn't do things very textbook. He, you know, held his hands low. He didn't punch it so much. He always like, you know, moved his head back, like, you know, a lot of MMA fighters do. And of course, like the footwork, the dancing, and things like that. It was very, very esoteric. And still by today's standards, it's like, you know, style is so unique. You can tell that, like, okay, that guy looks like Muhammad Ali. There's very few fighters in the history of the sport that like, oh, they have like this kind of fighting style, you know what I mean? You know it's them and people can like recognize that immediately, like, oh, that's an Ali's like kind of style footwork, or that's Mike Tyson like style footwork. Because of the Philly shell, because he made it so popular, so effective, people like say use the shell or use the shoulder. They all the time refer to Mayweather, even though he didn't invent it, because of how well he used it. And like, and after them, you might like say, okay, like this guy fights kind of like Roy Jones. There's nobody really that has like a notable style like the way that Muhammad Ali does. Even more so than Mike Tyson, and even more so than like Mayweather, you recognize Muhammad Ali's style when you see it. And people like to like try to give credit to like fighters like Willie Pep, Sugar Ray Robinson. Those are great, excellent fighters. But one, Muhammad Ali was faster than they are as a heavyweight, right? It was crazy having a heavyweight that fast at that time, and had better footwork than those guys at lower weight classes, whether you want to say them, Henry Armstrong. That he came at a time where like fighting on the rope was a very bad idea. It was where you go to die at the kill box. You know, dancing and not like being toe to toe was like kind of weird. So he really broke the mold in the way of his fighting style. For him to be as fast as he was, being the fastest fighter out at that time until like Sugar Ray Leonard came along. Like it was like as bizarre as like, let's say like Deontay Wilder being faster than Floyd Mayweather. Like it was like crazy to see Muhammad Ali. Like he was fighting guys and they would probably be like, wow, did I really just get hit 3 times? Like how did he hit me? Like he was really a freak of nature. Muhammad Ali was very much a freak of nature. Man, he was the most popular man like, in the world, and you know, his victories, were literally legendary because he fought some very scary people and beat them. Fought Sonny Liston, you know, as a 20-something, maybe 21, 22, something like very young. He was very young going against like the scariest man on the planet. So pick the scariest man on the planet. Let's say it was Mike Tyson at the time, right? Say like somebody like had to fight Mike Tyson, who was at his prime, you know, at 20-something years old. Or somebody had to fight somebody like Deontay Wilder at 20-something years old, or Tyson Fury, something like that. Somebody scared that seems like invincible, and to come out there and fight him and beat him and shock the world, like he said he was gonna shock the world. And Muhammad Ali did that. He was always gangster, and that's why I always love like how he spoke. And then at the second, he was always gangster, as you know. I always like when Muhammad Ali spoke. He talked that trash. He talked it how it was. He stood up for his belief. He stood up for people, and the way he called his shot, man. Like when people say calling your shot, they basically want to refer to Muhammad Ali the way he called his shots. His rhyming, his trash. He was an innovator for not only fighting but trash talking on sports.
Sucker, you ain't nothing. You too ugly to represent us colored folks. These Africans think all of us ugly. Sucker, look at you. You out, sucker.
First people really start capping and popping off on camera at a time where they didn't want to see a black man not only win but pop off on camera. Like, you don't understand. That was like doing the most. He was really doing the most. Like, you don't understand how gangster, like before Instagram, before social media, this guy didn't be talking on camera the way it was like, does he want the sniper watching to come and get him or something like that? That was from Ali, bro. Like, you don't understand the level of gangster that he really did for trash talking. Like, he wouldn't be like no battle rap or rap videos because he probably, because of the way he talked on camera publicly, even if you weren't into boxing, he inspired you to like speak out the way than like Martin Luther King or Malcolm X did. And in addition to his victories, let's say like when he had to come back from a 5-year layoff, because this guy had got suspended because he wanted to go fight a war where they were killing people for oil and diamonds and gold and stuff and drugs to come and pump to this country, right? Saying they were fighting against communism. He didn't want to go fight in that war. They suspended his license. They allowed him to follow the country so he could make money as a boxer. All right, in the prime years of his career, waited for him to come back. This guy came back, won the championship again, and had to fight George Foreman, who was the scariest man on the planet. Like, even more so than Sonny Liston, like was running through the best the world had to offer and melted them like cheese. Other guys that were supposed to be scary. So when Muhammad Ali had to fight this guy, I was like, bro, even somebody like, you don't have a chance, man. This guy is like literally Goliath and you're David, and that's just a story and gospel, bro. But no, this guy really was doing some gospel level stuff, legendary stuff. So this guy went to Africa, to the Africans, they chanted Ali Boumaye because they respect that like a black man has that kind of position in sports to change the world. If they saw in real time Muhammad Ali changing the world, and the Africans respected that, like they weren't hating on like they were hating on, for example,
how to say killing in their language, which was Boumaye. Muhammad got that Ali Boumaye chant going right from the get-go. He was the hero. The other guy was the enemy. George was the enemy.
So by fight time, I doubt that there were more than a handful of people in Zaire who weren't rooting for Ali.
First round.
Like African Americans, they'll hate on like our successful brothers here. Because in Africa, they just love you for winning. And that's what we kind of need here, in the black community. Anyway, they're chanting Ali Boumaye, bro. Muhammad Ali's family's crying. Fans of Muhammad Ali are crying. They think they don't got a chance. The world thinks he's gonna literally die in that ring. And on top of that, he goes with George Foreman. He goes against the ring as George Foreman, stays on the rope, which was extremely criminal to fight on the ropes back in those days. It's more accepted now, like Mayweather and all that, but back in those days, as a heavyweight, anytime to fight with your back on the ropes like that, it was almost like quitting almost. It was like, and they're yelling, and so it may not seem that dramatic now, but back then, from to stay on the ropes against George Foreman, who was going to kill him with a single punch. Take it, and then like the black spirit bomb happening, saying Ali Boumaye, he comes up and finds an opening, he launches that spirit bomb, bam, takes out George Foreman in the greatest victory of the sport. That's why he's the greatest. Even aside from other stuff he's done, if Muhammad Ali just had that one victory on his resume, minus everything else, he would still be the greatest fighter of all time just off of that. Muhammad Ali is literally like a story you could tell like at a campfire, ancient like African proverb, like legend or something. Like, you can just tell the legend of Muhammad Ali Like hearing about Muhammad Ali is better to hear in person than it is to hear on TV or something like that, like in a documentary, in my opinion. I don't know. It's kind of strange. You know, he had the most heroic storyline of any athlete in the history of sports, period. There's even more so than Jackie Robinson and all them. It was a heroic story. You know, people really hate him. There's black people in the United States that didn't like him at all for talking trash and being the way he was and being Muslim. Yet white people hated him. People wanted to see him lose. Adversaries from all angles in and outside the ring had to overcome to do what he had to do. And he did it. He succeeded. And that pop off he did at the end of the George Foreman fight, man, it's the most epic pop off in sports history. And I don't think anything's gonna top that. Anyway, guys, that's gonna wrap up my video on why Muhammad Ali is the greatest boxer of all time and athlete of all time. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to comment below, guys, and tell me what you guys think about Muhammad Ali and why he's the greatest boxer of all time. Don't forget to cop some King Kamara Brimezus t-shirts off my website. The link will be in the description box below. And most importantly, guys, please subscribe to my YouTube channel so I can continue to give you guys more content on a regular basis. It's your boy, Brimezus. I will see you guys next time.